Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Entrepreneurship Development Cell of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, I would like to extend my gratitude to each one of you for being present here today. It is my honor and privilege to present to you Mr. Deepak Pareek, the co-founder of Career Keeda, a youth-oriented platform where you can gain profession-specific practical training and skill development. In addition to that, Sir is a passionate content creator, an influential TEDx speaker, and a cricket aficionado. The topic for today's session is how to identify and choose the right skills for yourself. We are beyond thrilled to have you join us, sir, and are extremely thankful to you for taking out time for a session with us from your busy schedule. On behalf of everyone at EDC, I wish all attendees of this session a great time learning.
Thank you, Falak. Thank you to the entire team of EDC. It's always a pleasure to come back to your alma mater and sort of deliver a session or a workshop. Thank you so much to the entire team for having me here. So just as Falak already gave a formal introduction, I'll just introduce myself once again because that's how I believe the protocol should be. So my name is Deepak and I'm the co-founder at Career Keeda, which is an edtech startup that focuses on providing practical training based on specific professions. I will be very shameless in promoting my startup here. And I know that as entrepreneurs, you take every opportunity out there to sort of go and promote your startups. And this is a great marketing opportunity for us. So I will be very shameless and I will go out there and promote my startup. And I think this is how entrepreneurs should be. That is tapping every opportunity that they get, right? So I'm the co-founder of Career Keeda. What we basically do is provide practical training based on specific professions. So, okay, firstly, are you comfortable in both Hindi and English? Is that okay? Cool. All right. So yeah, so what we basically do is, say, for example, since you all are from Calcutta and you all are doing, I'm assuming you all are doing BCom honors, most of y'all. So for a lot of Calcuttans, what seems to be the perfect career option in addition to BCom? Any guesses? It's obviously, so if you can, so let's be very active in the chat here. I think that'll make it a lot more interactive. और थोड़ा मजा भी आएगा, ठीक है? So, and I'm glad that you all have your cameras on so that I don't have to see blank icons. Everybody's written CA anonymously. Wow, brilliant. I was expecting something else. No, just kidding. So yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I think BCom plus CA seems to be the hot option when you're from Calcutta. And I think it's something that I was also thrown at. But that's a different sad story. I will get to that later at some point in time, maybe. But yeah, I think so what we basically do is, say, for example, you're doing CA or CS, which is company secretaryship, or if you're doing CFA, BCom, LLB. What we basically taught is the theoretical aspect of things, right? We go to tuitions. I'm not naming any tuition teacher, but we all know who I'm talking about, right? I'm sure there are a lot of CA aspirants in this call itself. Not demeaning any career, just making fun out of my misery, because that's how it happened with me. But yeah, I think so. What we basically do is provide practical training. So, for example, if you pursue CA, CS, BCom, CFA, LLB, CMA, होता usually क्या है कि हमको theoretical education मिलता है, and इसके वजह से practical insight एकदम zero हो जाता है, right? There is no practical insight to that particular degree and to that particular profession. What is going to happen to you after getting that degree? What are the career options available for you? Are you doing it just because somebody else is doing it? Are you doing it because you actually want to do it, right? And what is the kind of work that you'll be getting into? Do you have that right exposure? Do you know that, okay, this is the kind of work that I'll be getting into, and I'm gonna be doing this the rest of my life? Am I okay with that? Right? So what we basically do is provide the basics of the practical curriculum so that once you apply for a job, say for example, Falak here is an employer, and 98 or 99 of us are sort of applying for a vacancy at her firm, and she's got like 2 vacancies, right? Now, how do you think Falak is going to shortlist the two candidates for her vacancy? Any guesses? Let's be again very active in the chat box so that I know you're listening and you're not asleep. आजकल बहुत सारे apps आते हैं wherein you can freeze your screen and to show the speaker that you're listening, but you're not. So, what is it that WorkX, skills, qualifications, cool. Yeah, more or less WorkX. So say for example, to those of you who mentioned WorkX, for example, WorkX nahi hai. So then again, in that case, that candidate should be rejected. Am I right? Yes, no, just in the chat box, guys, please. That will make it very helpful for me to conduct the workshop forward. Okay, cool. So those of you who mentioned skills, what kind of skills are we talking about here? Are we talking about hard skills? Are we talking about soft skills? Are we talking about theoretical skills, practical skills? Are we talking about core skills related to the job, or a combination of both? What is it? Both. Fantastic. I think that's something that we are looking for. So as employers, it's very important that, you know. So for Falak, for example, right? If you've got two vacancies. Consider this scenario, right? One employee comes to you, has got excellent marks. Her semester उसने top किया, right? He's got an excellent CGPA at the end of his college life. Hard to believe, but चलो मान लेते हैं, ठीक है? तो हर सेमेस्टर उसने टॉप किया, हर पूरा 3 साल बाद उसके पास excellent CGPA है, but practical knowledge एकदम नहीं. अब वो 3 Idiots वाला, what was his character's name? अरे यार मैं भूल रहा हूँ. Somebody help me with this यार. Chatur, sorry. Yes, Chatur. So basically Chatur, ठीक है? And the other person who's got average marks, just like most of us, who's got like 60-70% marks, just like all of us, most of us rather, but has got the basics of the practical curriculum sorted, right? He knows how things are done. He knows how work is done. He knows what he's getting into, and he knows the basics of it, right? So in addition to the core skills that's required for the job, say for example, we are all applying for the position of an accountant, right? Now, an employer will obviously look that the person knows accounting. ये तो basic है, right? But apart from that, what are employers looking for? I've actually spoken to a lot of employers because our work pertains to such culture that we also help in recruitment, right? So our job basically, you know, focuses on us, requires us to basically speak to a lot of employers and get to know their requirements, get to know what are they looking for. So what we've done is we basically spoken to a lot of recruiters, and they've told us that in addition to the core technical skills that is required for a job, there are certain skills that are required that they are looking for, right? Can you name some of those skills? What according to you are employers looking for? Have you all, okay, so how many of y'all have given interviews before? Just with a say yes or a no, if you can tell me. पहले interview वाला question का answer दो, and then let's move on to skills. Okay, a lot of y'all have given interviews. Great, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. And coming to skills here, what do you think are the skills that are required apart from the core technical skills? I hope my question is clear to all of you, right? Interpersonal skills, communication skills, teamwork, negotiation, communication, time management. Great, fantastic. आपको सब पता है. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been a wonderful time. I think you all are bang on in terms of mentioning skill sets. When we've spoken to a lot of employers, they've told me that, or rather they've told us, and we also believe, because we also keep on hiring a few people based on different roles, majorly BD, which is business development, and sales. So I think that's something that a lot of us have also believed in, which is communication seems to be the hot topic and the hot skill that everyone's looking for, and apart from your core technical skill, right? आपको accountancy आता है, great, fantastic. but do you know how to communicate well? Can you speak well? Communication not only in terms of speaking, but communication also in terms of oral writing as well, right? Nowadays, I put up a post on LinkedIn a few days back wherein I said that there are certain skills that are required irrespective of the kind of profession you're in, right? One of the skills is writing. Second skill would be sales, and third skill would be communication, right? You're excellent with your academics, you've got excellent marks, you're doing a job, but you don't know how to write an email. At work, you don't know how to write an email. You're excellent at your academics, you've got excellent marks. Throughout the year, आपने एक भी lecture bunk नहीं किया, आपने सब सारा lectures attend किया, सारा notes लिया, exams attend किया, fail किया exams में, right? You've got excellent CGPA at the end of 3 years. हाथ में नौकरी है, consider this as a Bollywood scene, but then आपके पास वो required skills नहीं है, get that job. How are you planning to sort of crack that job, right? इतना मेहनत करके अगर आप communication पे मार खा जाओगे, then what's the point? I'm not saying all the employers are looking for communication, but then if you're good at communication, you will obviously stand out, right? So I think that's something that a lot of employers in today's times focus on, which is communication, right? Not only in terms of speaking, but in terms of writing as well, right? The kind of interactions we have on social media as well, I think that is also a part of communication. Some of you, might be following a few creators on Instagram, on other social media platforms, and as a creator myself, I understand that, and I understand the need of content creation. I understand the need of public speaking, and I understand the need of communication. So if you are not, so as college students, I'm sure your next question would be, how can we work on communication, right? And my simple answer would be participate as much as you can. There are a lot of events that are happening, and I'd say grab every opportunity that comes your way. Right now, you're attending this session. कुछ नहीं लगेगा आपको. Just raise your hand and ask the question. That's it. Right now, Falak is hosting the session. She introduced me. She took an opportunity to sort of grab this opportunity and introduce me. Maybe she did well. Maybe she didn't do well. But it's an experience. It just gets added on to her experience of speaking, right? Similarly, Aryan here, we had a pre-call as well. Aryan was active enough to sort of take the initiative and take the call forward, right? I've been speaking to Utkarsh also regarding this session. So they've been very active in sort of organizing the entire session. Avishi as well. We've all been on call, and they've been very active in terms of speaking. So my point here is, I don't expect all 100 of you all to raise hands and ask questions, because with the paucity of time, I don't think I'll be able to answer all questions. But then again, you get my point, right? You get my point. So try and participate in as many events as possible, because that will set you up for the rest of your life. I'll share a very funny incident. Xavier's का कहानी है, ठीक है? I was in my second year, और students union का ये record हो रहा है क्या? Is this session being recorded? Anyway, just kidding. I'm not going to say anything about that. So yeah, I think second year का बात है, and there was students union का कोई तो event चल रहा था, marketing event था, and I was participating in one of the events. And so usually क्या था, there were 8 groups, ठीक है? 8 groups of 2 participants each, and 4 groups were given a particular industry to pick a company from. So एक FMCG था, and the other 4 groups were given tech. So FMCG से 4 groups को company pick करना था, and बाकी 4 groups को tech से company pick करना था, right? And what we had to do is pick an existing company and introduce a new product line. ठीक है? Very simple competition. Nothing complicated to understand. ठीक है? First round clear किया, second round clear किया, final round था, ठीक है? Final round में करना क्या था कि अब 8 में से 4 टीम obviously eliminate हो गए. Luckily, we were not the ones to be eliminated at that stage. ठीक है? We were among the top 4. तो टॉप 4 में हुआ क्या, देयर वर 2 कंपनीज फ्रॉम एफएमसीजी दैट वर लेफ्ट एंड 2 कंपनीज फ्रॉम टेक दैट वर लेफ्ट. अब करना क्या था, कोलैबोरेट करना था. कोलैबोरेट इन द सेंस दैट एफएमसीजी का एक ग्रुप और टेक का एक ग्रुप वर सपोज्ड टू कोलैबोरेट टुगेदर एंड वर्क ऑन दैट सेम प्रोडक्ट दैट यू हैड थॉट ऑफ. ठीक है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि एप्पल, ठीक है, एप्पल मान लो इंट्रोड्यूस करता है मिक्सर ग्राइंडर फॉर एग्जाम्पल. ठीक है, वेरी वेग, वेरी आउट ऑफ द ब्लू, बट सॉर्ट ऑफ मिक्सर ग्राइंडर. एंड देन उसको टेक से कैसे इंटीग्रेट कर सकते हैं. तो दैट वाज आवर इनिशियल प्लान. कि इनिशियल प्लान क्या है, बेसिकली एफएमसीजी का जो कंपनी जो हमने ऑलरेडी प्रोडक्ट सिलेक्ट किया था नया, और टेक का जो टीम था जिन्होंने वो जो भी प्रोडक्ट सिलेक्ट किया था, उसको अब इंटीग्रेट कैसे कर सकते हैं. राइट, सेम प्रोडक्ट को नया प्रोडक्ट चूज नहीं करना था. वी बीइंग द ओवर स्मार्ट वंस वी थॉट, हमने नया प्रोडक्ट बना दिया. ठीक है, वी सिलेक्टेड अ न्यू प्रोडक्ट ऑल टुगेदर. वो बंदा था जो कोऑर्डिनेट कर रहा था हम लोग से, वो मेरे को बोला कि इफ यू हैव एनी प्रॉब्लम प्लीज रीच आउट, इफ यू वांट एनी हेल्प व्हाटसोएवर. अगर समझ में नहीं आया ये वाला स्टेज तो प्लीज रीच आउट, हियर्स माय नंबर, हियर्स माय, वो बंदा एड्रेस भी दे दिया, बोला भाई घर आ जाना पूछने के लिए, लेकिन आ जाना, डोंट मेस इट अप. आई एम लाइक ओके फेयर. मी एंड द अदर फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन यश, सो वी बेसिकली सेड कि ठीक है, कोई टेंशन ही नहीं है, समझ में आ गया, बिंदास. हुआ ये कि प्रेजेंटेशन हम लोग ने रात को बैठ के बना लिया 2 बजे तक. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट डे इवेंट था सुबह सुबह. आई कम फ्रॉम, आई एम फ्रॉम बीकॉम इवनिंग. ठीक है, तो मेरा कॉलेज शाम को होता था. तो और एक तो इवेंट सुबह था, आई टू गेट अप अर्ली. वो एक बहुत बड़ा टास्क है. तो आई गॉट अप अर्ली, और 10 बजे आई थिंक इवेंट स्टार्ट हो रहा था, 9:30 में घर पे. तो आई वाज गेटिंग लेट, सो आई यूज्ड टू पिक यश एंड देन आई यूज्ड टू कम टू कॉलेज. ठीक है, एंड मैंने यश को बोला कि यश ले मेरा गाड़ी ले, यू ड्राइव, लेट मी मेक द चेंजेस टू द प्रेजेंटेशन. क्योंकि हुआ ये कि जो हमारे साथ दूसरा टीम था, दोज वर आवर जूनियर्स, फर्स्ट ईयर के थे. ठीक है, और वो मेरे को बोल रहे, वो हमको बोल रहे कि भैया तो नहीं बोला बट बोला ब्रो क्या हो रहा है कि वी टोटली स्क्रूड इट अप. हमको एग्जिस्टिंग प्रोडक्ट में ही इंटीग्रेट करना था, हमने नया प्रोडक्ट पे काम कर दिया. तो हमने बोला कोई टेंशन नहीं है, हम संभाल लेंगे, वी आर सीनियर्स, विल सॉर्ट दिस आउट, डोंट वरी. ठीक है, आई टोल्ड यश कि यश गाड़ी ले मेरा, तू चला, give me the laptop, let me make the necessary changes to the presentation. We made the necessary changes in 15 minutes, reached the stage, and of course we lost. मतलब needless to say, कोई बोलने का सोचने का बात भी नहीं है. We messed it up on stage completely. Right, there are judges sitting in front of us, there are 4 judges sitting in front of us, and they're asking, throwing great questions at us. Obviously we have no idea. 15 मिनट में तो प्रेजेंटेशन बना है, तो कहाँ से आंसर होगा. ठीक है, एंड यश मेरे को पीछे से नॉक करके बोल रहा है, ले माइक ले, आंसर कर. मैंने कहा मेरे को क्या पता भाई मेरे को कोई आइडिया नहीं है, यू आंसर, मेरे को कोई आइडिया नहीं. सो दिस इज हैपनिंग ऑन द स्टेज ऑफ द फिनाले राउंड ऑफ दैट मार्केटिंग इवेंट. बट द पॉइंट ऑफ दिस एंटायर स्टोरी इज वी स्क्रूड इट अप. ग्रेट, फैंटास्टिक, ठीक है, हार गए हम इवेंट. बट द पॉइंट इज दैट अगर if I was not on that stage, if I didn't get up on that stage at that point in time, I would not have learned what embarrassment feels like. I would not have learned what it feels like to sort of participate in a competition, make necessary changes at that very moment, get up on stage. We would have easily backed out. We would have said कि product ready नहीं है, we need more. या तो हम बोलते we need more time, तो वो खुद ही निकाल देते. या तो we would have been generous enough to tell them कि यार we would like to back out कि giving whatever reasons, right? But we went ahead, we did the event. We obviously lost. We came 4th. That's a good way of saying we lost, right? 4th out of 4 participants is technically you lost, right? So yeah, I think so. My point here is you will, once you participate, that first step is very crucial, right? You will be scared, you will be nervous, you will have all sorts of thoughts and notions कि यार लोग मेरा मजाक उड़ाएंगे, what will people say. Even here, as I mentioned earlier, if you ask a stupid question, these 100 people might make fun of you. But वो 1 दिन 2 दिन का बात है यार, उसके बाद कोई बात किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता, right? So the point that I'm trying to make here is recruiters are looking for skills that go way ahead of the normal skills, that go way ahead of the technical skills. One would be communication, that is public speaking. Very, 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 very important. You represent your company at meetings, represent your company at events. You kill it in sales, close clients, negotiate well, right? That's what you do. You're at EDC, you also organize events. You also get sponsors, right? Don't you negotiate? You do, right? So I think that's where your skills come into picture. So how can you work on those skills? By actually participating, by going out there. Participate each and every event that comes your way. यार घर का कोई function है, घर का शादी है, please raise your hand and say I want to host this event. मेरे को घर में शादी है, घर में संगीत है, I want to host this event. I want to host this event. बस मेरे को करना है. इसमें आपका फायदा क्या है कि एक तो घर वाले मेंबर्स हैं, तो वो बहुत खुश रहेंगे कि अरे हाँ चलो ठीक है, एक होस्ट मिल गया, खर्चा नहीं करना पड़ेगा. Number one. Number two, you have a ready audience. For a speaker to get an audience is the most difficult task. Here, you have a ready audience. So you don't have to think about getting an audience and getting कि यार लोग कहाँ से आएंगे सुनने के लिए. You have an audience here. तो उसमें टेंशन लेने की बात नहीं है, right? So that's one skill, communication. Second would be writing, right? In the era of online exams, I don't know how much writing you've done, how much sort of online education में मेरे को पता नहीं writing hamper हुआ है कि नहीं. But I'm sure in terms of, because you all are members of the EDC, you all must be very active in with emails and stuff, right? Start if you don't know how to write an email, just start writing. There are very simple ways of writing a good email, right? You start off with an introduction, and the easiest way to write an email is to not try to make it look like as if it's a formal thing. Now, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying write, hey bro, what's up? How's it going? Hey bro, what's up is not an email language. Okay? But what I'm trying to say here is that once you start writing an email, start introducing yourself in the first line, directly come to the ask. Right? What is your ask from that person in that email? And then what can you offer? And then looking forward to speaking with you, blah, 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 blah. Right? That's how you end the email. So introduction, your ask, your give, and then conclusion. Very simple. Kuch rocket science nahi hai. But again, a lot of people mess it up. Subject, I've received emails जहाँ पे पूरा email subject line में mentioned है और email का body पूरा blank है. I've received such emails, and then people will ask me, why don't I get responses to emails? अगर ऐसा email भेजोगे, do you think you'll get a reply? I can't read the email. Subject line में पूरा email है. So you get the point, right? So email, I think writing both in terms of pen and paper and also in terms of email writing, it will go a long way in sort of helping you to figure out your that right skill set. Because in this time and age, after the pandemic, jobs like content creation, jobs like content writing, jobs like freelancing, side hustle, quote unquote, we talk about side hustles, right? So side hustles such as freelancing, content writing, copywriting, there are a lot of writers that a lot of startups are looking for their blogs, for their website. So I think that in itself has risen. The scope of these career options has risen after the pandemic. And I think if you can start working on these skills, you can build a side income as well. I don't know if a lot of you all are interested in sitting for placements at the end of third year. But even if you have a job or even if you don't have a job, these skills come in very handy. Basics of graphic designing. You don't have to be a graphic designer, right? You don't have to be an excellent expert level graphic designer. No, I'm not saying that. But basics, if you know the basics, it'll come in very handy. Video editing. I'm not saying be an expert at video editing. No. But if you know the basics, it'll come in very handy, right? Skills, very, very, very important. As members of the EDC, you have a great opportunity to pitch EDC to a lot of organizations. Once you get sponsors, you sell yourself, right? You sell your vision, saying that okay, ये इतना footfall होगा, इतने events होंगे, इतने लोग आएंगे, it will be a great marketing opportunity for you to sponsor our event, so on and so forth. You do that, right? I've also been in college for 3 years. I've seen a lot of people work hard and get sponsors as well. So you're selling. So if you're not good at sales, I think these three skills are very important, irrespective of the profession you get into. Number one would be, again, as I mentioned, communication. Number two would be writing, and number three would be sales. These three skills are going to be super, super, super important. And of course, after the pandemic, skills like content writing, freelancing, these career options have boomed and boomed like crazy. So if you, again, one very simple way to improve your communication is start recording short speeches on your phone. It could be audio recordings, it could be video recordings, it could be both. To each his own, right? Start recording. You don't have to publish it anywhere. Start recording, and then once you're done, listen to the entire speech once again and see where you're going wrong. Maybe you have to take appropriate pauses, just the way I did right now. So that happens once you want to grab users' attention, and that also is required if so you give time to the user or the viewer to understand what you've said, right? So again, certain skills are going to be very, very, very important going forward. I will not take much of your time. Let's open this to Q&A. And if there's any questions in terms of skills, I know. So here I've spoken about just before we open it to Q&A. Just to give you a context, I've spoken here only about general skills because again, everybody comes from different backgrounds. Everybody comes from everybody might not be doing the same course. So again, I've spoken about general skills here. But if you have any personal questions, depending on your sort of personal life framework, you can go ahead and ask your questions, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. I can't guarantee any answers, but I'll be more than happy if I'm able to. I will surely go ahead and help you out. So if you have any questions, it's obviously recommended to ask questions yourself. Of course, the moderator can select which one who can go first, but I'd suggest turn on your camera, turn on your microphone, and ask that question yourself. This in itself is a lesson in taking that first step in grabbing every opportunity, at public speaking, at communication, and skills that will take you forward in life as well. Okay? So over to you, Aryan, Mavishi, Falak, and team. देख लो who needs to go first. किसी को disappoint मत करना यार, मतलब नहीं तो मैं गाली खाऊंगा. ठीक है, तो देख लेना. Just take
okay, sir. I think Gautam can take the first question.
All right. Good evening, Deepak Bhaiya. So, I've been creating content on YouTube since 2020, and the thing about college is that once I came to college, the thing was I got into CA, and then I'm looking at societies to build my CV. But time is limited, and you can't do all the things, right? And you talked about the avenues to improve your skill set, right? You can either go for events or join societies. But I'm finding this stress. What should I do? Should I go for societies or should I go for events? Should I leave societies and develop my skills through courses, hard skills through courses on Udemy and platforms like that, and by participating in events? And moreover, what was your approach towards the 3 years you spent in Xavier's? So I'm finding a problem in answering this question to myself. What should be my approach towards the next 3 years, year by year, first year, second year, and third year? That's my question.
Are you in first year right now?
Yeah, I'm in the first year.
Lovely. I think, firstly, great step. You are already in EDC, so that's something that I was about to recommend. Ki yaar, join societies, society of your choice. No hard and fast rule there. You want to join XCS, XMS, depending on whether you're in, अभी BCom भी है कि नाम चेंज हो गया है, मेरे को आइडिया भी नहीं है, become old. So what is it? Is it BCom, BBA, BMS? क्या हो गया नाम? I think it's more or less the same thing only. But anyway, so yeah, I think join a society so again, you're already in the society. ठीक है. I'll be very honest here, ठीक है. I'm not gonna be, I'll not put up a facade and not put up a bright picture कि ये कर लो, ये हो जाएगा, ये कर लो, वो हो जाएगा. नहीं, I'll be very honest here, ठीक है. That's very important. You've already joined a society, ठीक है. Be very active in the society. I know a lot of people might find this boring, but since you've asked this question, this is important to you, so I'm going to answer it. Be very active in the society, right? Try and participate in as many events as possible. Try and organize events. So once because you're a part of EDC, you'll be organizing a lot of events, right? So try and pitch in whenever you can. Maybe in terms of hosting the event, maybe in terms of organizing events, maybe in terms of getting speakers through your network, maybe getting sponsors through your network, or maybe even a few more things. But my point is, be very active in the society. What will that teach you? That will teach you teamwork. That is very important. Once you do whatever, right? You start your business, teamwork will be important. You do a 9-to-5 job, teamwork will be important, right? You're in a creative profession, teamwork will be important because you'll be collaborating with a lot of other people as well, right? So in the first year, since you're in the first year, rather, if you talk about, if you tell me to share my experience in the 3 years that I spent at SXC, I think in the first year I did not participate in any event whatsoever. I was very shy. I did not participate in any event whatsoever. But in from the second year onwards, second year and third year, I participated in as many events as I could. Obviously, I was also doing CA. That's a different story altogether. But because of that, I wasn't getting enough time to sort of participate in a lot of events. But then again, that time pursuing CA was also important. So I had to sort of strike a balance between which event I could participate in and which event I should not participate in. So if you have too many things on your plate already, I'd say prioritize, right? See what is more important for you at that very moment. Because I come from commerce background, and in class 12, commerce का जो book था S Chand का, उसमें एक chapter था controlling. I remember this very vividly, wherein there was one statement which said, if you try to control everything, you end up controlling nothing. So again, very, very, very important. So if you try to control everything, if you try to multitask, a lot of people can multitask. Rather, women are better multitaskers than men. Which is I'd say 100% true. So I think in terms of you, because you have a lot of things on your plate already, try and prioritize. See what should be done at that very moment and prioritize and work on that. Okay? Since you're a content creator, do not stop doing this, because even if it doesn't click in the next 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, this is a long-term game. This is not a T20 match. This is a test match. Okay? And test match में क्या जरूरी होता है? We all appreciate the wall, not in ODIs, not in T20s, but in Test cricket, and you very well know why, right? So in terms of you creating content, do not stop that content creation just because you have a lot of things on your plate. It might take a toll. You might be very inconsistent. That's okay. That's completely fine. But if you stop doing it altogether, the process will stop. The growth का जो opportunity है वो रुक जाएगा. That's not a very healthy thing to do. ठीक है, तो वो करते रहो, because that will teach you a lot of things. जो मैंने बात किया ना, sales, writing, communication, सब कुछ, all of that, you graphic designing, video editing, सब कुछ आपको content creation सिखा देगा, right? If you ask me a step by step process कि एक first year में क्या करना है, second year में क्या करना है, third year में क्या करना है, my answer would be the same for all the 3 years, which would be to explore. Rat race मत join करो just because your friends are doing it. There will be a lot of pressure. There will be a lot of thought process saying कि यार मेरा friend तो CA कर रहा है, मेरा friend तो CFA कर रहा है, let's go ahead and do it. बहुत common notion है. मैंने भी वैसे ही start किया था CA करना, right? But at the end of second year, I realized it's not for me. 2 बार जब IPCC में fail हुआ, तब समझ में आया कि मेरे लिए नहीं है, right? I'm being very honest here. So it's very important for you to not join the rat race and then figure out life on your own. Figure out life कैसे होगा? By exploring. You try and do 10 different things. 2 will work, 8 will not work. It's completely okay. 8 को scrap करो, 2 पे double down करो. I'm just speaking facts here. It's on you to whether you want to take it or you want to chuck it. ठीक है? बाकी if you have any more questions, I'm happy to take care.
Thank you, sir.
Harsh can go forward and ask the next question.
Good evening, sir. I believe that a combination of both skill set and qualification or degrees is required when a person applies for an interview. What if that
Right.
person lacks one criteria? How does he or she go about with that?
Great question. I think, as I mentioned, the technical skills so bilkul required hai, right? So that'll help you get a place at the interview first of all, right? If you don't have that technical requirement, if you don't meet the technical criteria, you will not be able to you will not be able to get a place at that interview seat, right? So वो तो required है ही, उसके बिना काम होगा नहीं, usually काम नहीं होता है. बाकी creative professions में degrees का दरकार नहीं होता है. What matters is your skill sets. What matters is what kind of work that you've done before, right? So it's very your question is very subjective. If you're talking strictly about a corporate life, then of course you will require a combination of both technical and soft skills. But if you're talking about entrepreneurship, rather, for example, वहाँ पे कोई degree का requirement नहीं है, because you don't have to give an interview, right? It's your own business. Family business में technical requirement का दरकार नहीं है, आपका skill set काम आएगा, right? So your question is very subjective in this case. Second point, if you're talking about a corporate life, and if you feel that you have a technical requirement or one of the two is missing, I suggest, अगर technical requirement missing है, तो I suggest get that first, because उसके बिना आपको interview में seat नहीं मिलेगा. That your degree or your qualification will help you get that interview first and foremost, right? Again, with that being said, there are a lot of companies that don't look at degrees at all. So it's very subjective in nature. That's number one. Number two, if you meet the technical criteria, work on those skills. A lot of people, I'm not saying all the recruiters look for these skills, but if you have these skills handy, you are seen as a priority over your peers. आप खुद ही सोचो ना, you are recruiting, you're having 2 vacancies, एक बंदा के पास theoretical knowledge बहुत है, practical exposure 0 है, और सेकंड बंदे के पास एवरेज मार्क्स है लेकिन उसको काम आता है. Who are you more likely to recruit, right? So again, very simple ideologies. Just to give you a little story, I'm also from Calcutta, right? So I've spoken to a lot of CAs running their own firms and recruiting a lot of people. They say that freshmen से ज़्यादा और interns से ज़्यादा काम उनके peons को आता है. Now he doesn't have that degree, but उसको आप पूछो TDS का full form क्या, वो नहीं बता पाएगा. But उसको पता है कि ITR कौन सा ITR किसके लिए चाहिए, क्या due date है, तो उसको सब पता है. Why is that so? Because he's been working there for like last 10-15 years. So he's been very active in listening to their clients' request कि client को क्या चाहिए, और वो सुनता है, उसको समझ में आ जाता है कि ये फॉर्म के लिए यहाँ जाओ, ये फॉर्म के लिए यहाँ जाओ, इस वेबसाइट पे जाओ और करो. He will not know what a website is. So you're getting my point, right? So again, very important for you to work on those technical skills if you want to apply at a corporate job. And if you have those additional soft skills, that's seen as an advantage. And you can obviously keep working on that simultaneously. वो simultaneously भी हो ही जाता है अपने आप, right? But if you're talking about entrepreneurship, family businesses, creative professions, वहाँ पे hardly anybody sees the degree. What matters is what you've done before. What matters is the quality of work that you are doing currently, and what matters is what you're going to promise to your client going forward. I hope I've answered your question.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Ash.
We can move on to Kashaka now.
Right, sir. So, given the amount of experience you have, what do you think is more difficult to overcome, the competitiveness in the industry or your own weaknesses when you enter the industry?
Great question. I think I'll tell you rather what's more important. What's more important is to work on your strengths. Right now, there could be two things here. You either work on your weakness or you either work on your strength. What is it that is more likely for you to overcome very quickly? Something that you're all weak in, or something that you already have good hold on and you can improve that and become the best at what you think you are, right? So the industry is competitive. No industry, if you think any industry is less competitive, there might be less opportunities for growth as well, right? Everything is correlated. If you come to think of it, अगर कोई industry competitive, उतना competitive नहीं है. There could be reasons like a lot of companies did not want to enter the industry because they did not see growth in it. Or अगर ज़्यादा companies है नहीं, इसका मतलब market value of that industry is very less. इसका मतलब, do you want to enter an industry which is not so competitive, that does not offer a lot of growth? Ideally, no. Right? In a different scenario, would you want to work on your strengths and then beat the competition? Yes. So in that case, what works for you and what's ideal for you or for anybody else here is to work on your strength. If you're strong at sales, work on that skill set. If you're strong at writing, work on that skill set. If you're strong at communication, keep working on that skill set. Because the more you do it, the more you get better at it. It's a 10,000 hour rule. Very simple. For any person to be an expert at something, you need to practice it for 10,000 hours. How do you achieve that? 9 hours per day for the next 3 years, or 3 hours per day for the next 9 years. Up to you. Right? Do you think Sachin perfects that straight drive in the first match he played? Do you think MS Dhoni perfected the helicopter shot the first match he played? No, right? He used to do it for a very long time. That's how it happened, right? So again, I can go on giving cricket analogies, here, but just because I'm a huge fan of the sport. But again, to answer your question, you can beat the competitiveness of the industry. It's only by working on your strengths. But if you choose to enter an industry that's not competitive enough, then that might hinder your growth, and that's not something that you're looking for. So I hope I've answered your question, but if there are any follow-up questions, I'm happy to take.
No, sir. My question is completely answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Kashika.
Okay, we can move on to Yuvraj.
युवराज को देख के डर लग रहा है कि मेरे को लग रहा है कि ये मेरा इंटरव्यू लेने वाला है अभी. युवराज थोड़ा डराओ मत यार.
No. So first of all, I really liked your session, sir. Today was really fun, and like you said earlier, that we should not indulge in rat race with others, and the social peer pressure is there. And suppose, like, I personally speaking, I come from a family business background, and I think many people watching this might be able to relate. So like, I don't need as such any technical skill or any degree or course ka zarurat nahi hai. But what do you suggest? Like should I indulge in something like CS or FRM? Because like I'm in a dilemma right now. Like, should I go for it, or should I just be with my father and learn from him like all the practical skills? Because that is also difficult. So I don't really know what to do right now.
देखो, great question, great dilemma, very practical dilemma, I'd say. जब मैं कॉलेज में था तो मेरे फ्रेंड्स के पास ये डिलेमा था कि यार फैमिली बिजनेस तो है, क्या करे डिग्री लेके. डिग्री का कोई कुछ होना तो है नहीं, बिकॉज कितना ही डिग्री कर लो, धंधा तो धंधा है भैया. बाद में आके पापा जी यही बोलेंगे कि आके बैठो इधर, गुल्लक संभालो, है ना. So I think for you, I think what really matters is what you want to do. There cannot be a straightforward answer here. Okay? I cannot give you a very detailed career guidance here, because आप मेरे को आपके लाइफ के बारे में अभी तक पता नहीं है कुछ भी. Right? I don't know what you're good at. I don't know what your core competency is. I don't know what you want to work for ahead. I don't know what's your greater vision in terms of doing that particular degree or not. Right? I don't know whether how much you know about that particular profession, that okay, वो profession करने के बाद what are the kind of opportunities available in front of you. Do you want to explore? Do you not want to explore? Family opportunities कैसी है? Family का environment कैसा है? Will they sort of do they have a problem in you going for a corporate job or not? Do they want you to stick to family business? Do you want to stick to family business? There are a lot of questions, right? It all boils down to whether you want to pursue those degrees, and do not take such decisions in haste, because once you start doing it, it might be difficult for you to exit if you want to, because that's how these institutes frame it, right? I'm not naming any particular institute, but that's how it's done. The entry is easy, the exit is difficult. So entry is easy primarily because they paint a very bright picture, saying that ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega, ye ho jayega, wo ho jayega. But once you enter, you see the number of people doing it, see the career opportunities ahead, see the career growth prospects ahead, and then you feel like nahi, yaar, ye to nahi karna. I did it because my friends are doing it. So again, it's a very, very, very personalized question. वो थोड़ा सा answer करना difficult हो जाएगा. But what I suggest is because you already have a family business and you are more likely than not to enter the family business and take it forward. I think for you, अभी जितना soft skills पे focus कर पाओ, जितना negotiation, जितना convincing, जितना sales, जितना communication पे काम कर पाओ, जितना email writing पे काम कर पाओ, learn about online businesses, how to take it online. I know आपके business में maybe हो सकता है online का कोई requirement ही नहीं. Why don't you get into the business? Because we are young blood, right? We know how things can be done, right? So why not you enter it, take it online, and scale it up to the next big thing, right? Get a website done. I'm sure maybe your family is not much adept or do not have the required understanding to how to take the entire business online. Maybe you are in a better position to do it. I'm just saying maybe, right? So why not you learn these skills, learn SEO. I'm not saying expert ban jao, but understand to karo, सीखो तो सही होता क्या है, and then that'll maybe help you build your family business from where it is right now. I hope that answers your question, Yuvraj.
Yes,
Baki, I'm happy to take follow-up questions.
So I have one follow-up
Thank you,
question.
Yuvraj. Go ahead, Patiti.
Yeah, so what would you suggest as factors to keep in mind? Like, I have a weird confusion between joining a family business or doing something of my own self. So what are your views on that?
So doing something of yourself, you mean like a startup, or you mean
Probably a startup or like working on going ahead with any of
Okay.
my passions.
So got it. So firstly, I'd say if you are in a position to where you can explore, I'd say go 100% all in. बहुत बार ये requirements होता है कि बहुत बार financial constraints होता है because of which you have to take up a job, right? बहुत बार ये होता है कि you are not able to start a business because वो funds crunch है और maybe team members right नहीं है हमारे पास, maybe right idea नहीं है. Starting a business just for the sake of it is the wrong sort of idea behind starting a business. That's not why you start a business, just because you want, right? वैसे नहीं होता है काम. If you are starting up, find a problem, create a solution for it. It's as simple as that. Today I might sell this water bottle, but this is a business. This is not a startup because there's nothing new in it. There's nothing innovative in it. But if I put a sensor here that'll track my calories, that'll track my BP, that'll track my heart rate, that'll track my ECG, सब कुछ track करेगा. And when I'm running, it'll give me alerts. That's a startup, right? You integrate tech into it. That becomes scalable. A specific niche market for athletes, for runners, for sports people. That becomes a market. That becomes a startup, right? So again, starting something of your own just because you want to is not good enough reason for you to start something. It has to come from a more concrete reason, more concrete logic. If you see that there's a problem, because ultimately the customer is gonna pay for you, right? If the customer feels the need for it, only then the customer is gonna pay for it. Why do you use a phone? Because you feel the need for it. That's why you pay for a phone. You might pay more for a specific type of phone, and you might pay less for a different type of a phone. But you pay for the phone, right? Just because you need it. It's the need that is being satisfied here. So once the need of the customer is satisfied, that's when you feel that the solution is there. So again, family business join करना है या खुद का business start करना है, I suggest family business में तो रहो ही because that's the backup that's always there. But because if you want to start a business just for the sake of it, again, as I mentioned, that's the wrong reason. But if you want to start a business because you want to solve a problem, that's the right reason for entrepreneurship. And that's where it should stem from.
Thank you so
I
much.
hope I've made myself clear, but then again, there are a few more questions that I need to take. So if you have any follow-up, this is to everybody here. If you have any more follow-up questions, my social media is always open. You can drop in your question, just DM me your question, and I'll be more than happy to take it forward there.
Sir, we have a few questions from our YouTube audience. So if you
Go
don't,
ahead.
yeah. So we have a member in our YouTube audience who says that he has a good CV. He thinks he has a decent CV, but he blanks out and he feels that he leaves a bad impression whenever he is giving an interview. He is really not good at giving interviews. So what is your advice to him?
So with interviews, yeah, I think specifically, I think this is a common thing with most of us, that we've got the right content, we've got the right skill set, but then interview ke samne jate hi, you shit your pants, right? So that's something that's a very common occurrence with most of us. But I think one is that self-belief. It might sound very, 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 very cliche, but it's true. Right. One is that self-belief, right? You believe that you deserve to be there. Right. You believe that you deserve a place there and you deserve to be there. And that self-belief is like half the battle won already. Right. Number two would be understand do not fool around in the interview. A lot of us, you get asked this question a lot of times, wherein a lot of recruiters ask questions, but then you don't know the answer, but you keep beating around the bush. That's a wrong way to behave in an interview. If you don't know the answer, don't beat around, because the interviewer sees through it, and that's something that should not be seen. So just be very honest with the interview and say, owing to the stress of the environment, I'm not being able to answer the question right now. I will get back to you once I'm in the right frame of mind and I'm able to answer the question. Be very honest, because what happens in most of the interviews is this is what recruiters look for, ideally, right? So again, very common things. Firstly, again, dress well. One thing is to dress well, right? Because once you dress well, that gives you a sense of confidence, right? Obviously, when you're appearing for an interview, you will not come clumsy, that's for sure. But then dress to the best of your ability, right? Dress as if you're going to impress somebody, because you are going to impress somebody. That's true, right? So because that gives you a sense of confidence, that gives you a sense of belonging, saying that, okay, you're dressing well, so you're confident in what you're wearing, you're confident in what you're going for, right? So, and of course, read something about the company before you attend the interview. Read who the founders are, read what they've done before, read what the company does. A lot of times I've taken interviews for my startup wherein a lot of people have come and I've asked them, what do we do? And they're blank. And then they expect us, then they expect us to sort of recruit them. So that's something that does not go hand in hand. So read something about the company, read something what the company does. And then go ahead and crack the interview. I think these are basic steps, but then again, every interview is different, every situation is different, so that's difficult to tackle. But these are general steps that you can take to sort of crack the interview. I hope that answers his question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. We'll move on to the last question. Aditya will be asking it from a person on YouTube, and then we'll move on to the vote of thanks, if that's okay with you, sir.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Aditya.
So basically, one of the members in the audience is asking, I fear public speaking. So is there any particular skill which you need to overcome this fear? And if not, then what is the correct direction to go about it?
Himmat. Courage to start. I think that is the simplest answer I've ever given when asked about public speaking. The start is the most important thing here. It's the most important thing for you to start. Public speaking will embarrass you. Public speaking will you'll get embarrassed. People will make fun of you once you make a mistake. Rajesh ko Suresh bol doge to obviously log mazak udayenge, right? But then again, it's absolutely okay, because these are building steps These are just steps for you to learn how to speak in public. But if you don't take those steps, you won't be able to learn, right? So it's very important, very, very, very important for you to go out there, experience the dirt, fall in the mud, and see where you are at the moment and where you have to get to. और ये reality check कभी ना कभी तो चाहिएगा ही, right? आप जितना late इसको pursue करोगे, उतना आप growth को postpone कर रहे हैं, if you come to think of it, right? So these skills are very important. Again, as I mentioned, to work on your public speaking, it's very important for you to raise your hand, be a part of the conversation, take part in as many events as possible, organize as many events as possible, host as many events as possible, college events, school events, family functions, corporate events. जितना हो सके start speaking up in events. जितना हो सके start hosting events. अगर आपको लगता है कि आप you are not able to, or you are not maybe confident in speaking at an event, start hosting events, right? Gain that experience, because that will also come in very handy once you go forward, right? These are the simple ways to sort of work on your public speaking. As I mentioned, start, stand in front of a mirror, take a book or an article or a blog or whatever, and start reading that aloud, and put that recorder on your phone, and listen to the entire speech once done. And note where you're going wrong, whether you're taking extra pauses, whether you're going very fast, whether you're going very slow. What is it that's wrong in that speech? And then keep on doing that for 21 days. It takes 21 days to build a habit. Keep on doing it for 21 days. You will see a massive, massive improvement. So the person who's asked this question, do this for 21 days, my friend, and hit me up on my DM and tell me how much you've improved. I hope it will work for him.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would now like to propose a vote of thanks to you. Sir, after such an inspiring session, it is an absolute honor and my pleasant duty to propose the vote of thanks today on behalf of the Entrepreneurship Development Cell of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. With immense appreciation and gratitude, I thank Mr. Deepak Pareek, present with us today, adorning the event. Your valuable inputs on identifying and choosing the right skills has highlighted us and shown revolutionary paths for the future. A special mention to our respected principal, Reverend Dr. Dominic Savio, and Vice Principals, Reverend Father Joseph Kulandai and Reverend Father Peter Arokiam, for encouraging us to pursue greatness and live up to the great Xaverian reputation. I would further like to thank our faculty advisor, Dr. Arup Kumar Mitra, for his leading, supervision, and inspiration at every point of time in the college. Lastly, but not the least, I would extend a deep sense of appreciation for all the support, timely implementation, and guidance provided by the members of the Entrepreneurship Development Cell. We owe the success of this session to you. Once again, thank you all for attending this session. Have a pleasant evening, everyone. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, guys. Honestly, it's been a wonderful session so far. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much to those who kept their cameras on. I think that is something that I've seen very, very different in a lot of events these days. So thank you so much for being courageous enough to turn on your cameras and be a part of the session. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to come back to your own college and deliver a session. Thank you so much. If there's any question that I could not answer, if there's any remark that I made that you were offended about, then I'm extremely sorry for that. But if there are any more questions that you feel I should answer, please hit me up on my social, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. I am not on Tinder, so if anybody reaches out to you on behalf of me on Tinder, then that's not me. But apart from that, on other social media platforms, I'm happy to help, guys. I hope this has added value to your life. But again, I'm happy to help. If there's any more questions, just hit me up and I'll be more than happy to help. But all in all, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was an insightful session. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aryan. Thanks. Bye.